Okay, hello. So I am going to do a bonus review for Dune. This being that the one that I have done earlier is amateur compared to this recent one that I discovered from a different channel. This guy did a 15-minute review, which is one of the best reviews I've ever seen of any movie that really talked about the whole experience about, you know, what Dune was to him, how it made him feel leaving the cinema, um, and how he had seen it 5 times, and how it was a cinematic, achievement up there with like Lord of the Rings, the 1976. I think it was Star Wars. Like there was these few moments in time, Lawrence of Arabia, for example, where certain generations are given a something that will forever define them. Like their grandchildren will ask them, like, "Hey, do you remember seeing that movie?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I do. I do remember seeing it. I remember seeing it in Hanoi. I remember seeing it in the very back seat. I remember a lot of things about that day. I remember every moment, every feeling that that movie gave to me, knowing the tragic, knowing the pressure. Okay, let me slow it down. I can remember being mesmerized by the beauty of Arrakis, just by how the film starts. Okay, so you have the sunset and that orange color palette, and how that whole film is pretty much spent on Arrakis. So therefore, Arrakis becomes a character upon itself. And I'll always remember the feeling of watching Chani and him going off into the sand together. And somebody once said in one of the comments that when they were sand walking off into the distance, into the night, okay, but it was like they were dancing. Two lovers dancing as they do the sand walk. Now, if you're wondering what the sand walk is, it's because any kind of rhythmic beating on certain parts of sand will, obviously call in the sandworms. I will never forget the experience of watching the Harkonnen soldiers float up. So when they use the anti-grav gear and that creepy clicking noise that it makes as they slowly ascend up that mountain when they detect a thumper. A thumper is the thing that attracts the worms. Now these aren't like stormtroopers that miss and are incompetent. These guys that shoot the thumper the first shot, they're trained, they're highly disciplined, and they go up to the top and get the high ground where they're obviously taken out by the freemen. But the point being is, like, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget just watching the difference between, like, where an enemy is taken seriously. An enemy force is just as much as a threat, is just as much as a character, is given just as much as respect as the protagonist. For example, one of the things that I really really hurt me with Star Wars was when they made a joke about the stormtroopers aim in The Mandalorian, which I don't consider Star Wars Disney Star Wars canon. I just don't. The EU is Disney Star Wars, and any true fan, I believe, in my humble opinion, if you're a true fan, you should hold the things accountable that you love, and not be afraid to call it out.